Welcome back to Burning River Bushcraft. Today we're going to be taking a look at a snare kit from Vigilant Trail. This is the North American Combo Pack. The Vigilant Trail North American Combo Pack includes a large game snare, a medium game snare, and a small game snare, all in this one little package. Vigilant Trail has a lot of different pocket and small packable kits. They have survival kits, they have fishing kits that I've gone over on this channel. And lately I've been looking at their snare kits. They have the pocket size stage 1 survival snare kit. So this is primarily aimed at small. I could probably go from possum down to squirrel and rabbit with this. There's 3 snares in here. So if you have more space in your kit, you can upsize it to the stage 2 kit. The stage 2 kit has the same 3 snares, but it also has snare triggers. And those triggers allow you to make spring snares, which work wonderfully in a survival situation. But the North American Combo Pack is entirely different. This would slide in nearly any bug out bag or longer term survival kit. If you can't fit this in your kit, you're not trying hard enough. And I have not only small game snare, so I can get into rabbits and possums and squirrels. The medium snare that's included, that's going to get me into groundhogs. I can catch coyotes with that. I can snare beaver. But I also have a large game snare. So there's a cam lock in here, and that's going to allow me to snare hogs. But in a true emergency, you can get into deer with this. This is going to snare nearly any animal in North America. So if this is the kind of thing you like, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment in the comment box, and ring the bell to be notified of my latest videos. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Burning River Bushcraft. I also teach outdoor classes at outdoorcore.com. So we can kind of see what's in here already, but let's take a look at it. Now, I started with Vigilant Trail for their fishing gear. They have some outstanding and unique survival fishing kits. And when I saw their snare stuff, that looked professional to me. That did not look like picture wire snares and paracord snares that you see in survival manuals. And I was right. This is top of the line professional equipment. This is made in-house, and you can tell they know what they're doing. So all the Vigilant Trail kits have had instructions, and that's really important because you may not be a trapper or a snareman, but you may see the need for that. So you may buy this as a precautionary measure. So this is going to have common tracks that you're going to see. I have a card that's got the loop size that's recommended for the animal that you've identified with the tracks, as well as the height off the ground. I've got some snare sets here. These are spring snares. These are more suited for survival situations. And then I've got a heavy card. I've got a lot of that repeat information. I've got the tracks of the animals so I can ID them. Then I can flip the card over. After I've ID'd the animal's tracks, I can set the snare loop the proper diameter and the proper height off the ground. So snares are light and they do not need a lot of support equipment, but they do need a little bit. So here I've got a coil of snare support wire that's going to let me adjust the wire and hold it level with the trail and the right height off the ground. And I've also got snare tags in here. Now in a survival situation, that's probably not one of my concerns, but these are frontline snares. These are normal trapping snares like I would use on a regular trap line. And in my state and in most states, you do have to ID your traps. So that's a great thing to include. I could be setting traps and just have this in my normal survival kit with me, just run out of traps and need to grab it one, and I can mark my information on it, tag it, and then that is a legal set in my area. So here's the small game snare. And this is premium snare cable. We've got an excellent lock on here, so this is a locking snare. I've got hammered down stops. So with a locking snare, as the animal closes this on itself, the snare just doesn't open itself. You can bend it and open it, but the animal is not able to slip out of the snare under tension. So I also have a tube style snare support, and I've got a double ferrule back here. So a double ferrule, I'm able to use this with a trap stake if I had one. I'm also able to open this up. So this just slips through, so I can slip this around a branch, over a fence post. And once I get it there, I can tighten it down. I can also open this up and just pass the entire snare around a tree. tighten it back down. So this is definitely the most versatile end that you can put on a snare, and it's especially important in a survival situation when you may not have all the gear you need. So this is a great diameter cable for small game snares, and you see this is the premium cable, so I'm going to get that nice picture perfect snare loop. This diameter cable, I would definitely be able to snare a raccoon with this. Probably anything larger, or even a large raccoon might give me some fits. But for most of the survival situations, you're going for first meat, and a lot of times that's going to be a rabbit or a possum. They're usually the easiest animals to catch. So here's the medium game snare, and here's one of my old snares, and the cable is the same. So this is the same size snare cables that I use most of the time. So this is proven cable. This is the good stuff once again. So this is a pretty long cable. This is probably about 60 inches, I would say. And here's the cam lock snare. So you can see this is a little different style. And as it tightens down, it actually cams, and it's got a lot of leverage. So this is a super tight lock. This is great for animals that are really going to struggle in the snare. So any coyote on up would be absolutely perfect for a snare this size. I could take this same snare, I could set this for a raccoon. This is my normal snare loop that I trap most fur-bearing animals with. So on the end of this one, you see we've got a swivel. So this swivel is assuming that we're going to have a bigger animal and that animal is going to be struggling. So that is excellent to have a swivel on a heavier use snare like this. Now for my whammy, or my spring support right here, this is a little different style. So this works kind of like a lock nut. So this is what an electrical lock nut looks like if you take all the plastic off. So with this, I can stick my wire in and I just twist this down till it locks. I find the springs are more secure than tubing for most of my use. So inside this snare loop, we see we've got this little stop here, and this is a snare stop, and this is actually required in my area for legal trapping. In a survival situation, I wouldn't be as concerned with it. But what that does is that allows me to set a loop. Say I was trapping for coyote, and I had this at coyote height, and a deer was to accidentally get its leg through here. So what that's going to do is it lets the snare only close to a certain diameter. And at that point, it won't tighten anymore, and the animal's able to pull itself out. So that just shows the quality of these snares, and that these are frontline snares that you could put in any trap line. Just for comparison here, this is our medium game snare, and here's the diameter of the large game snare. So I love trapping, and I love the concept of survival trapping. I think it's a missing element in a lot of people's knowledge base. And large game snares, that's something that even I don't really approach. This is pretty darn unique. Now, in certain areas, you're going to see these set for wild hogs, and that's what this essentially is. This is a wild hog snare. However, if you were to raise this up a little bit higher, you could probably get a deer. In a true emergency, if I was in some of the swamp situations I've been in the past, I could lower this down, and without a doubt, I could snare an alligator. So the ability to take large game with something that just weighs a few ounces like this, that's something nobody talks about. That's because it's not legal. But if you were in a life and death situation or a long-term wilderness survival situation, this thing would pay for itself 10 times over. The ability to not just go from a 1-pound squirrel or a 10-pound raccoon to actually being able to harvest enough meat for months on end with just a snare like this and a little bit of skill, you couldn't ask for something better to keep in a bug out bag. So this large cable is equipped with a larger appropriate sized cam lock, and I do have a snare stop on here as well. So if I was to trap wild hogs in my state, this would be a legal snare to do that with. The length on this is over 6 feet. I'm not sure if this is maybe 7 feet. I've got a heavy duty swivel on here as well, and a spring whammy to hold my snare at the proper height. If you can snare rabbits and raccoons and groundhogs, you can go after big game as well. It's the same principle. You just have to have your loop the proper size, you have to have it the proper height off the ground, and you have to have it on a known game trail. The North American Combo Pack from Vigilant Trail is outstanding. This is something that is really missing from most people's survival kits. And I've never seen anybody else market snares like this, especially a combo pack with medium, small, and large game snares in one kit for survivalists. And I'm all about snares. I carry snares all the time. I will even travel with snares in an airplane. I use snares as a cable lock most of the time. So I've got snares integrated into my kit. And a big game snare like this is nothing that I have, nothing that I carry, but I'm going to start carrying it now. So with this kit, just like anything else, you should always follow your local laws and regulations. Trapping is not legal in a lot of areas, and snaring is not legal in a lot of areas. Big game snaring is something that is rarely legal in most states. But this kit is marketed as a survival kit. It says right on the bag, survival kit. So if I had this sealed up in my kit, nearly any place, I would have a pretty good argument on why I have it. It would just be there for an emergency. So I'm all about feeding yourself in the wilderness, and this kit takes this to the next level. You can actually target large game in a survival situation. That's something that's rarely approached. This is something that nearly anyone needs to have if you spend any time in wild places. A kit like this can feed you for months on end. Definitely check out Vigilant Trail. They have a lot of kits. They've probably got something you're looking for. And while you're ordering stuff, I would pick up the combo pack as well. Till next time, this has been Jamie Boggs with Burning River Bushcraft. See you soon.